The IFS Student Investor Challenge is an online share dealing game for teams of 4 students, all of whom must be aged between 14 and 19. To enter the competition, you'll need to ask your teacher to register your team via the IFS Student Investor Challenge website, where you'll also find a list of all the rules and detailed instructions on how to play the game. In summary, the aim is to make as much money as possible between the start of the game and the closing of the market at the end of January. To do this, you and your teammates will need to study company information provided by the Student Investor portal and other websites, read the business papers and watch the news to identify company shares that you think will rise in the future. You'll need to make judgments on when to buy and sell these shares in order to make a profit. The shares available to buy in the IFS Student Investor Challenge are selected from the FTSE 100 and 50 small cap companies. You can also trade exchange traded funds, or ETFs for short. That's quite a lot of jargon, so let me explain. Shares are the main way that directors of a limited company raise money for their business. Companies issue shares and a person who buys one owns a small part of the company and is called a shareholder. As part owners of the company, shareholders benefit from when the company does well. For example, when a company makes profits, the directors will normally, but not always, pay shareholders part of the profit as a dividend. If shareholders want to get their money back, they sell their shares to someone else. The price that a share is worth depends on how much the other people want it. So if a company is making profits and growing in size, investors will want its shares and the share price will rise. However, if a company is making losses, investors will not want its shares and then the share price will go down. Shares are bought and sold via the stock exchange, of which there are many around the world. The FTSE 100 is an index composed of the 100 largest companies listed on the London Stock Exchange, and a 50 small cap companies share is a smaller company that's not in the FTSE 100 or the 250 or the alternative investment market, or AIM for short. ETFs are also a way that you can invest in a group of companies or assets, but which trade like a stock on an exchange. ETFs can be linked to shares or can be used to invest in a range of commodities such as oil and gold. Now, if that sounds a bit complicated, don't panic. As you play, it will all become clear. To help you get ready for the game, you can take advantage of the practice period where you can experience trading until the start of the competition proper, when all portfolios will be set back to £100,000. So once your teachers register your team and you've got your login details, you can access the Student Investor Challenge website and get started. You'll have 2 portfolios that you can manage. So to remind you, an active investor portfolio and a strategic investor portfolio. With your active investor, you'll be trading on a day-to-day basis, focusing very much on the short-term rise and fall of stocks. For your strategic investor portfolio, you'll be restricted to only 10 trades per calendar month, which should encourage you to take a long-term view of your investments when buying and selling stocks. Now, there are certain rules you'll need to stick to. You can find a full list of the rules on the website, but the main ones are: firstly, you can only trade between 9 o'clock and 4:30 each day. You can only trade each company's shares once during the 24-hour period. The minimum investment in the shares of a company is £1,000, and the maximum investment in the shares of a company or an ETF is 20% of your portfolio. You can only trade a maximum of 10 shares per calendar month on your strategic portfolio. You can also only hold £15,000 of cash at any one time. If you hold more than this, a windfall tax of £1,000 a day will be applied to your portfolio. There's no limit to the number of times a team can fall liable to this, but don't worry, we'll give you 8 days after your first trade until we start applying the tax, so you'll have time to get to grips with the game. All the rest of your portfolio must be held in the form of shares. So do you think you've got what it takes to win? Make sure you watch the next video on strategy and top tips to prepare yourself ahead of the challenge.